This is Dim Simple Media, the first common sense, uncensored opposition YouTube channel in Los Angeles by a Los Angelino. Been here for 34 years. We're standing on Sunset Boulevard and Cahuenga Boulevard by the CNN building. We actually couldn't find the sign CNN. They used to be proudly displaying their CNN sign right there on top and everywhere, and we could barely find this little sign. They're still here. I don't know how long they're gonna be here. I heard that Anderson Cooper is considering leaving them. Their ratings are going down. It seems like they're going out of business. And it's kind of interesting why. Maybe they lied too much before. People kind of tuning out and switching to social media. I guess I should feel sorry for them, because in the beginning I was excited about their reports, especially international reports. They did some really good international reporting. They were in the middle of it, in war zones, showing horrible things happening in other parts of the world. And then somehow when it came to exposing the truth here in Los Angeles or in Chicago or in Democrat-run cities, they were not so active about it. I wonder why. But then they somehow degenerated. In the beginning they were just more or less neutral channel, very educational. They were showing very interesting reports from different parts of the world, even from here too. And then during first Trump administration, they degenerated into a propaganda machine for Democrats. And they had this Don Lemon, they had Cuomo. These people were so toxic that they finally fired them. Actually, I did like Don Lemon in one way. Like, the facial expressions he was making were precious. He had some techniques. I might have disagreed with him on many points, but he had some good techniques how to manipulate a psyche of someone very naive and trusting that was watching his program. So he had some skills. I wouldn't say that he was incompetent. Anderson Cooper, such a well-renowned, like really well-established, famous, respectable journalist who made amazing career, had such good reputation, coming from aristocratic family, from good background, good upbringing. All of a sudden, he was forced, I don't know if he did it voluntarily, to participate in this disgusting smear campaign during the first Trump administration. Okay, surely, as an opposition media at that time, they had every right to criticize Trump, criticize his policies, criticize Republicans. I totally respect that, no problem. But don't engage in assassination of character. They were engaged in assassination of character. It was just disgusting to watch. And I think that's part of the reason why people started tuning off. They were losing interest. People realized that CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News too, let's not forget about Fox News, became very partisan news channels. That's why Trump called them all fake news, because they positioned themselves as a news channel, but in reality, they were only providing opinions. Like, I'm honest about this YouTube channel. I'm providing my personal opinions. I'm not a news channel. It's just my opinions, and you guys are there to judge. You can agree, disagree, debate. This is for debate. But they were portraying themselves as if they were a news channel. They said that they're pretty much own monopoly to truth. They presented themselves as credible source of news. I think that's what they said, we're the most credible source of news. And at the same time, they engaged in disgusting propaganda for Democrats. That's why they lost credibility. If they portrayed themselves as opinion propaganda channel, they would have kept a lot more credibility with their audience. Anyway, Fox News, also, obviously, it's a kind of a Republican propaganda channel, but then once they lost Tucker Carlson, they lost the most prominent, the most interesting journalist who sometimes provides really exotic, outlandish opinions and materials, but he was the most popular journalist with the highest rating ever, and they lost him because they had this settlement with the election, the company that was doing like election, they had election machines, and then they were accused of tampering with their machines. They sued, and then as part of the settlement, they forced Fox News to fire Tucker Carlson, and also because he was showing footage from what really happened on January 6th, and the Democrats didn't want to release it, so he got kicked out. The thing is, we should have a very clear division between the news and between opinion media, and there should be like disclaimers. This is the news channels. News channel is supposed to be independent, neutral, providing, just showing us what's happening around us. In that sense, our local news channels like KTLA, that's further down the road here, they're trying to do a good job. They're showing this crime going on in the city. They're showing all the problems that are happening, the car chases or whatever, like robberies or some ridiculous stuff that's going on here. But they're trying to actually show what's happening, even though Channel 5 is still kind of censored. They're censored. They're not really telling us the full truth. We don't really have a real opposition channel, TV channel in Los Angeles. We are, as a YouTube media resource, trying to do something like that. But not news. We're just providing opinions. What I wanted to explain is, why is it that right now everything is moving to social media? Why these guys are going out of business? And MSNBC changed their name. They're also probably going out of business. People are moving away from TV because, first of all, it's too scripted, and they're no longer used to that. They want kind of a connection, personal connection with the anchors, with the person who is speaking on the screen, with those talking heads. They want to have more personal connection. And these guys are too scripted, they're too formal. But secondly, I think that they realize that we need to have a lot of competition when it comes to providing the news, when it comes to providing information, not just the news, it comes to providing opinions. We need to have competition. And so on YouTube, whoever wants to express themselves, they can express themselves. They're still censoring and restricting some content, but a lot less so than on, obviously, traditional TV. So people feel like they're getting more authentic material. When it comes to journalists that are working in a formal setting, look, we have our phones, right? And if you open the phone, on the news, you have CNN, Wall Street Journal, HuffPost, Atlantic, most of them like CBS News, Wall Street again, Reuters, ABC. We have mostly liberal-leaning, pretty much leftist media on the phone. There is only maybe a couple, like somewhere you find it, Fox News, you find Breitbart. It's really disproportionately favoring the leftist point of view in the media. And I think it's dangerous because in the democracy you have to have free competition of ideas, and when most of the media that is shaping public opinion is monopolized by one side and the other side is not equally represented, then we're getting a very biased view of the world. And I think it's very dangerous for democracy. On this phone, we should have a lot more representation for not just conservative, but maybe some kind of libertarian channels. We have to have a representation of different type of views. And on the phone, it's only primarily 90% it's leftist liberal media. They don't represent the majority of the people. So majority of the people is running away from the leftist liberal media to the social media. What happens in the social media is people like Mark Zuckerberg and his team are censoring it. So people fled from these formal TV channels to social media, but those who own social media also have these liberal views, and they censor everybody that is not in agreement with them. So that's also dangerous for democracy. It reduces competition. Essentially, I'm welcoming the trend of shifting to social media from these formal TV channels, but social media should have almost no community guidelines no censorship, no matter who it belongs to, and social media should be representing a free market of ideas. If you really enjoyed this video, let's keep it between ourselves. Don't worry about liking it, subscribing for it, sharing with anybody. I don't care. I actually don't want you to spill the beans.